You're listening to WCEG Network. We are the worldwide empowerment group where we speak life into the community and we speak life into you. Log on to WCEGTalkradio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV, on Roku, cable channel, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm Dr. Cassandra Wanzo, your host of Mind Matters for the next hour. Subscribe free to our YouTube channel, WCEG Network. Like us on Facebook and Instagram. Connect with us on LinkedIn, TikTok, and Threads. Download our free WCEG mobile app. Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms.
WCEG Radio on TuneIn isn't available right now.
Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest, and not WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. Good evening and welcome to Mind Matters, where we discuss relevant mental health issues. I'm your host, Dr. Cassandra Wanzo. I'm a psychiatrist. I have been practicing in the Atlanta area for more than 30 years. I started when I was 12. Our co-host is Miss Shavett Athouris. She's a registered nurse and she's been so for more than 20 years. I don't know how many exactly, but I know it's been over 20. She has served as an RN case manager at various hospitals, teams, and clinics. And she has worked as the director of nursing for well-known agencies. She was a nursing professor for 5 years at a university in Atlanta. She's the administrative director for a nonprofit where they help develop and mentor youth. Their website is www.theosmovement.org. Welcome, Shavett.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, our very, very special guest is Miss Dollora Greene-Evans. Dollora was born and raised in Milwaukee. She attended Northwestern University, where we met. Even being from the same city, we didn't meet until college. She is a retired real estate broker. She is married. She is the mother of 2 children and grandmother of 2 grandchildren. She is a member of Threshold International Choir, the Milwaukee chapter. This choir does singing bedside to hospice patients on the threshold between life and death. I just think that is so awesome. Welcome, Dollora.
Thank you.
Our topic this evening is breast cancer, the emotional impact. Again, breast cancer, the emotional impact. We are so blessed this evening to have Miss Greene-Evans. She will share her personal journey with breast cancer. However, before we get into that, I would just like to give an overview of some statistics about breast cancer. So, breast cancer is the most common cancer in women worldwide. Let me repeat that. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women worldwide, according to the American Cancer Society. 1 in 8 women in the United States will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 8. 297,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected in women in the United States. 43,000 women in the United States are expected to die from breast cancer. Globally, the estimated incidence of breast cancer is 2.3 million new cases per year. Again, globally, 2.3 million new cases per year, 670,000 deaths per year. What is the incidence by race and ethnicity? White women have a higher incidence of breast cancer than Black women. However, Black women have a higher mortality rate from breast cancer. Let me repeat that. Black women have a higher mortality rate from breast cancer. Hispanic women have an intermediate incidence and mortality. What about by region? Breast cancer rates vary significantly by region. The highest rates are in North America, Europe, and Australia. The lowest rates are in Africa and South America. What are the trends? The incidence of breast cancer has been increasing in many parts of the world. This is partly due to improved screening and early detection. The good news, however, mortality rate has been declining in recent years thanks to advances in detection and treatment. I just can't thank you enough, Dollora. We're so appreciative of you sharing your time and your journey. So I do have some questions that I'd like to get into. First of all, what were the circumstances leading to your diagnosis?
Well, a little background. I had a cyst on my left breast for many years, and quite often they would contact me a couple days after a mammogram to schedule a follow-up ultrasound to make sure it hadn't turned malignant. And that was pretty routine whenever I went for my annual mammograms. Well, this last mammogram, my first mammogram was August 25th. August 8th, I went for my mammogram, and a few hours later, the technician called and said I needed a second mammogram and an ultrasound, which was normal. And so on August 25th, I returned to the clinic. They performed the second mammogram, and I was asked to wait in the waiting room and was later asked to go back for a third mammogram using a smaller paddle because they weren't getting the image they wanted. They reviewed the images and said they'd like to do an ultrasound immediately because the mass looked suspicious. So after they performed the ultrasound, I returned to the waiting area. And when I was called back to radiology, the doctor came in and said the mammogram looked highly suspicious. So she wanted to do a biopsy and insert a clip, a little RFID clip, so that in the future they'd be able to zero in on it without having to do a lot of probing and whatever. So I asked her when she could do this biopsy because I'm not one to wait. I was really kind of stressed at that point. When she said highly suspicious, I knew. At that point, I knew it was cancer. So I think she could tell that I was getting more and more anxious. And she said, well, she could perform the procedure in about 45 minutes. So while I was waiting, I went out to my car and cried and cried and cried and cried. After that, I took a few deep breaths and went back in for my procedure. And when I knew at that point that I had cancer. I just knew it. But then after going in and having that procedure, I decided, I don't know, my whole mentality shifted. It was like, okay, I'm going to kick this tumor's butt. I embraced the challenge. It was like, I'm going to beat this. So on August 27th, I received a call from my nurse navigator confirming that I had breast cancer, which I already knew. And she suggested that I schedule an appointment with an oncologist. September 31st, I met with a highly recommended oncology team led by Dr. Joseph Weber, who is with Advocate Aurora in Grafton, Wisconsin. I'm mentioning his name because he was absolutely awesome. I can't sing enough praises for him. So anyway, after meeting with his team, I was impressed by their credentials and their style. They explained my options. They answered my questions, and I had a lot of questions. And they answered those questions with compassion and obviously very knowledgeable. So at first I was, stressed, and my anxiety was relieved when I left. I truly felt like they had my back and they were going to take good care of me, which they did. September 30th, I returned to the Grafton Medical Center. They installed a second tracker, and I told them, I hope, ICE isn't going to be able to locate me. They laughed. And so the following day, I had my surgery, which was last Wednesday.
You believe that 1 week ago? Wow.
1 week ago.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. And I feel great. I've resumed my normal activities, and yeah.
So what would you say your first immediate reaction was once you got that diagnosis, the final diagnosis?
The final diagnosis, I had calmed down. Okay. When I was 99% sure they were going to tell me that, I kind of freaked out.
Oh, wow.
But I freaked out for about a period of 45 minutes. And then after that, my stress level went down, and I thought, okay, I got this.
Wow. What was your family's reaction when you told them?
Well, my husband is a quiet guy. He kind of keeps a lot of his feelings to himself. So I really don't know for sure how he's feeling, but he's going through his own cancer journey. He's having surgery on December 3rd.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of looked at that as, wow, now we're really going to be more sensitive towards each other. We'll understand each other's moods, and we'll be able to help each other. And he's been really great. My daughter's a nurse, so she handled it well. She trusts in the field of modern medicine, and she brought me a care package. She brought me little pink and white pajamas with a button-down top, because I had to have a button-down top after my surgery. A cozy throw to snuggle under. She brought me candy, personal care items, extra strength Tylenol, and a bottle of wine. and she insisted on accompanying me to the hospital so she could be there to hear what the doctor said and everything. Now, my son, on the other hand, that's a different story. He's very emotional. He's very sensitive to my needs. And it was a difficult thing to tell him over the phone. He lives in Illinois. So it's not like we could sit down and I could put my arm around him or anything like that. And I told him, I said, I've got this, and I wasn't worried. I told him, I have no issues with this whatsoever. And I told him he shouldn't be worried either. But I know he took it hard at first. He cut the conversation short, but then he texted back later. I told him, you've got to be cool. And he texted back, I'm cool. Love you, Mom. So he was okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And I talked to him today and told him the good news that I got from the doctor this morning, which was great news. And I'll tell you that later.
Okay. So would you describe again what treatment you received, and how did you decide what course of treatment to pursue?
Well, I had told the doctors I wanted a full mastectomy. I wanted to get just everything removed so I wouldn't have to worry about it. But they said that was a little bit too dramatic. I didn't need that. They said we caught it early. That was the biggest thing. And they said it was an irregularly shaped tumor. It was like 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters by 12 centimeters, which I guess is kind of like 2 inches by 3 inches by 4 inches, which I don't think that's small. But he said it was small. And he and his team suggested that I might want to take radiation, pills to lower my estrogen level, because cancer feeds on estrogen. Breast cancer, that's where it gets its nutrition. But then because I've had osteoporosis and I have osteopenia now, they would have had to put me on infusions for 5 years to keep my bones or build my bones back up. But I didn't want to do that because I had gone through osteoporosis treatment, that Fosamax for 10 years. And then after the 10th year, they found out that I should have only been on it for 5 because the other 5 start to reverse back to osteoporosis. So I told them, I have to think about this. They told me that if I don't get further treatment, if I stop here, my chances of survival and never having breast cancer again are about 90%. If I take the treatment, my chances would be closer to 99% of never getting it. But my attitude is I'm 73 years old. 90% sounds pretty darn good. So I think I'm not going to have any further treatment.
So I know that family history can play a role. Did family history play a role in your diagnosis or course of treatment?
Yeah, they had me take a DNA study, and where I had to contact relatives to find out, who had cancer and whatever. Well, that was labor intensive. I think that was the worst part of this whole journey because I'm adopted. I had to reach out to people I didn't even know to find out this information, and I was getting different information from different cousins. So they referred me to an aunt, my biological father's only living sibling, who lives in Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I called Aunt Helen, and she confirmed everything. And I sent that information back to the doctors. And then I had to go and take a blood test. They sent me a DNA kit. I took a blood test, took it to FedEx. The next day they had it. And I think 2 days after that, they got the results that this was not transmitted to me through DNA, nor can I transmit it to my children either. So that worked out really good. And I got to meet my new aunt and my new cousins. And another thing breast cancer did that was really a positive thing in my life. I would have never met these wonderful people.
Oh,
Awesome.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
So on this journey, what advice do you have for our listening audience family? What advice do you have?
Wow. Well, first of all, ladies, I encourage you to get annual mammograms. I know some insurances don't cover annual mammograms after age 65, but I would encourage you to, even if you have to pay out of pocket, get them annually. And then I guess, because early detection is critical to treating the cancer. It's critical. If the tests do come back cancer positive, I encourage them not to freak out. Many women our age and younger probably have witnessed their mothers or other relatives going through breast cancer and their treatments back in the day. And that can be horrifying. I think of that often. My adoptive mother had a partial mastectomy on one breast and a full mastectomy on the other breast. Her treatments were brutal and barbaric compared to today's medical practice. She was in so much pain for such a long time. The techniques they used were very invasive. You had to change her dressings. There was a lot of bleeding. It was awful. Well, now with mine, they are pretty non-invasive. I never felt any pain. The first day after my surgery, I was uncomfortable, but I didn't really hurt. There was no post-surgical wound care. They put a dermabond on you, and what that is, it's a bandage, kind of like a bandage. It's a sealant too. So there's no bleeding, no nothing. I think later this week, the sealant, the dermabond will start to just flake off, and then my breast will be fine. There was just no after wound care. So, that's a big plus. Now I've been able to resume my normal activities. The only restriction I have for a few more days, I can't lift more than 10 pounds. Okay. But that's it. So women, early detection is critical. Getting over the fear is critical. I advise them, if with a positive diagnosis, to interview oncology surgeons and their teams. Ask questions. I recorded all our conversations with them so that I could refer back to that information. They give you so much information, it's overwhelming. And I did, refer back to see if I got it right. Discuss all of your options, because ultimately the final decision is yours. They give you the options, but you have to make that decision. So you discuss the options, you research the options. I guess, what else? They should read patient reviews of the doctors, but they should be careful in assessing that, because it seems like I was in sales for many, many years. I never got a negative review, but people seem to be prone. People, when they're angry or upset about a service they've provided, they're going to get online and write a negative review. Positive results, people are so happy and going on with their lives, I think they forget to thank their doctors. So, read the reviews. They still might give you some information. Talk to people who may be willing to share their cancer experiences. And even people you don't know. I was walking my dog the other day, well, a couple days before my surgery. I had never met this woman in my life, but she was outside. We started talking, and I found out she's in her 80s, and she's a 30-year survivor of breast cancer. So, that was another thing that just boosted my spirits. Avoid negative people, Debbie Downers, because you need to be surrounded by positivity. Got to have that. Let's see, what else? I guess understand that modern medicine has come a long way, and you'll get you through your treatments with flying colors if you stay positive and follow the doctor's advice. And that's pretty much it. You've got to have faith. So
you mentioned faith. Has there been anything else that you feel has been helpful for you on this journey besides faith? Anything else?
Oh, yeah. Well, I am a Baha'i.
Okay.
That's a very strong influence. And as you mentioned, I'm a member of the Threshold Choir, Milwaukee chapter. When we go to sing bedside, the patients, their families benefit so much from the music that we sing. We benefit so much from the music that we sing. I record some of the music, and then I play it when I'm, feeling like I might be slipping into a little dark area, and it gives me a feeling of peace. We're actually going to be starting to sing to women in the maternity wards and ICUs and the neonatal units. So we'll be singing to people, and our songs will be directed towards recovery and faith. The outpour of love and support from my family and friends has been phenomenal. It's been a huge boost to my emotional state. My husband had mentioned that he has never seen me smile this much during the whole time we've been married, which is over 42 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. There were a couple questions. Someone wanted to know if the procedure you had was a lumpectomy.
That's what they did. Well, they call it a partial mastectomy now.
Okay.
Yes, it was a lumpectomy.
Okay. And someone wanted to know that if it wasn't genetic, do they have any idea of the etiology of the breast cancer? If it wasn't genetic, if they have any idea?
They didn't share any of that with me, no.
Okay.
I kind of think it's more of an environmental thing. Diet can do it. There are many things that can contribute to cancer. It was interesting because I was reading, and they said they listed everything except smoking.
They did? Wow.
So I've got to do more research on that, because if you're a smoker, maybe that's a habit you should stop.
One thing that stuck with me from medical school, and I went to medical school in the 70s, that stuck in my head back then,
Back
they
when you were
told
12.
us, right? They told us in medical school that 80% of cancers are environmental things
Yeah,
we eat, smell, smoke. I mean, 80% they said it was environmental. I mean,
I believe it.
stuck with me, 80%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
Well, your food,
mm,
chemically treated.
great.
I've tried to switch to non-GMO foods, and yeah, hurts the pocket, but it might help the health.
Okay, okay. Something that really impressed me is you posted on Facebook. I was so surprised about your journey. What made you decide to go public?
Oh, well, I broke the family rule of not putting your business out in the street.
Mm,
Women have been, or a lot of people, period, have been very reluctant to share
mhm,
family problems.
mhm,
And I don't know, I guess I just wanted to encourage women to take their regular mammograms and maintain their physical and emotional and spiritual health to the best of their abilities. Um, I just wanted to share
mm,
and let them know that there is a bright side. There can be a bright side to all of this.
mm. I know your being here is really helping so many people by your, like you said, not just keeping it to yourself, but by going public. You are truly helping a lot of people, by going public. What kind of response have you gotten, like from your Facebook post?
Oh my God, well, I got you.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen you in how many years when
Oh,
we were
well,
16?
yes, a long time ago.
But
Yes.
it's been phenomenal. I got a lot of notes of gratitude for sharing.
Mhm.
People who know me well and knew my mother knew that I was really taking a leap by doing that. Their
Wow.
response was, "What would Josephine say?" And I was like, "I'm not sure, but she's not here to tell me." So, no, I felt I wanted to share.
Mm. Wow, we're so appreciative. So, how are you doing and how are you feeling today? A week after, exactly a week. Wow.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
today I'm not feeling real good. I think I'm catching a cold or an allergy or something. The weather here has jumped from like 87 and very humid to 49 and
Oh,
very
that's Milwaukee. That's why I'm in
That's
Atlanta.
Milwaukee. I
That's
know.
why
That's
I'm
when
here.
no one comes back. But yeah, I'm feeling really good on Saturday or on Friday. In 2 days, I'm driving with a group of threshold singers to Wilmette, Illinois. We're singing in a concert at the Baha'i Temple. Um, and, again, this is my therapy. I'm looking forward to it. And my doctor said it's a go.
And
But
you're
I
not on
feel
any
great.
medications? You're not on any medications or anything? No.
I took one pain pill the night of the surgery.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. I haven't even taken an aspirin. I mean, I have complete mobility.
Wow.
Um, I it's I don't know. I never really believed in miracles, but I guess that's about the closest word I can come to it.
Hmm. Wow.
Mm. Yeah.
So speaking of this, so how would you say this whole journey has changed or affected your outlook on life?
It's given me a much more positive outlook on life. I look forward to continuing to be a large part of my children's and my grandchildren's lives. I have many new relatives that I look forward to getting to know better and old friends to reconnect with.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm even more committed to my threshold
Hmm.
choir, to bringing music and comfort and peace to patients and their families. And yeah, I have a lot more living to do. And I feel like the best part of my life has only just begun.
Hmm. And I'm so happy to have reconnected with you. So next time I come to Milwaukee, which won't be in the wintertime, I look forward to us getting together, going out next time I come home.
I
I'm
can't wait. I can't wait. This has been awesome.
wow. So I want to ask Shavett as an RN, what's been your experience and have you had what experience dealing with women on this same journey?
Well, I'm just glad that you're doing well. Just looking at your beautiful face, no one would ever know. And you're handling it very well. You do have a beautiful smile. So I'm just excited for you in your journey right now. But I've been a nurse almost 30 years and I have taken care of cancer patients. And some of them have been breast cancer patients, and it does take an emotional toll on the individuals. And I was just listening to you sharing, so many different things about ways that you can get cancer. But it is almost inevitable for us to get something. I mean,
Right.
from the food we eat to the
Right.
air we breathe to, literally everything, our environment and foods today, when you look at statistics from 50, 70 years ago to now, health, chronic illnesses and health issues were not as statistically high as it is today. And we have dyes, yellow dyes, red dyes, purple dyes in our food. So many different additives and preservatives and you name it. You know, so not just even cancer, but it can cause so many other health issues and chronic illnesses. But I have taken care of women that had the breast cancer. I remember one particular lady, she had cancer on her left breast, and she would always say that she swore her phone was her culprit, because every day for years she sat her phone in that same exact spot
Oh,
on her
wow.
breast where the cancer was.
Oh.
And so, yeah, and she would always tell me that, share it with every woman. The doctors are saying that that's not possible, but she was like almost exact to the area is where she kept her phone. So I just say, right now with our environment, there's so many ways for us to, you know, get certain things. We know a lot of times too, something like cancer can be hereditary. I have two aunts in my family, on my mother's side, who have both had breast cancer. So it can be hereditary. But a lot of what we have with that, as well as other chronic illnesses, are, just the environment that we live in.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I remember many years ago, they said not to carry your cell phone in your pocket,
Mm-hmm.
especially men in their shirt pockets, because the radiation or whatever they emit could cause cancer.
Right.
Microwaves, they said, could cause cancer. I mean, our
Yes.
water, we have lead pipes in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
That can cause cancer or lead
Yeah.
poison.
Yeah.
But something's going to take us out.
Yeah.
Something. It doesn't have to be breast cancer.
Right. Right.
That's true.
And one thing that's interesting, I'll give you guys this analogy. So for those of you listening, you can probably relate to this. When you think about our cars, we change the oil every 3 to 5,000 miles, right? Why do we do that? Because the oil is dirty. And if we drive it 10 or 15, 20 years and never change the oil, certain parts on that car would start breaking down, right? And eventually the car would stop. Like it's not going to work.
Right.
Well, our bodies are kind of similar. And one thing that we don't really think about is cleansing our blood.
Mm.
Each year we get older, we're so excited we made it another year. But from birth all the way up to 20, 30, 40, 70, 80, 90 years old, we never think about cleansing our blood. And one thing that statistically that they're finding is that that's like a big culprit in people getting chronic illnesses and disease. So if you cleanse your blood naturally without all the other stuff, just natural blood cleansing, that can really help reverse a lot of chronic illnesses.
So how do you do that?
Well, there's a natural product that actually I take, my whole family takes, and it's all natural and it cleanses the blood and it literally reverses chronic illnesses. And I can give you the information where you can just do your research, and it's all from plants. Um, and we had someone that had the big C and it was stage 4. It has spread to the brain and all the body parts, all the organs. Doctor said there's nothing else that we could do. And this was actually a friend of ours we'd known for 20 years. And with cleansing his blood, it went from a stage 3 to a 2 to a 1 to 0. And 1 year later, it's like at a 0. So
Wow.
cleansing the blood is very, very important. You think about the deodorants we use, the lotions we put on, the perfumes, the just everything that we put in our bodies. It goes into the bloodstream. So over time, it's just the blood can get dirtier and dirtier. So that's just another thing that you can do is start taking some natural supplements.
So what are some of the ingredients of
The ingredients, it comes from plants. You got ginger, it's like 44 different plants in it. I mean, I can give you the website, you can check it out. It's NUX as in X-ray, T as in Tom, RAX. So that's NUX as in X-ray, T as in Tom, RAX as in X-ray again, .com. / and then just put SL Daniel. S is in for S and L and then Daniel. SL Daniel. So that's new at NUXTRAX.com / SL Daniel. And just just research, do your own research, check it out. But great testimonials, and it's amazing what the product is actually doing.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's another question. Someone, Dollora, this is a question someone asked. It says, most people think death when they hear cancer. Did death ever cross your mind?
I would say most of my adult life, cancer meant death to me until I started this journey. And now I have, I've been given such a good prognosis that I don't even think about it anymore. Not in a negative way. But yeah, I think most people are afraid of death.
I know when I think of cancer, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. That's the first thing that to my mind. Yes.
Yeah, but this has put my mind at ease.
Huh?
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know one thing that people don't really realize, the mind is very powerful.
Yes.
And when I look at people I've taken care of over the years, ones that were really down, depressed, I'm gonna die, a lot of them did, because that's what they're thinking in their mind.
Right.
But you can, I tell people, you can almost trick the mind into thinking what you want it to think.
Yeah.
So if you're saying to yourself, I got this, I can beat this.
Right.
I'm gonna get on the other side of this. It's what you tell your mind. So if you have a diagnosis of cancer, or you're dealing with cancer, or any other terminal illness, you have to just take a deep breath and say to yourself, you're gonna be okay. You got this, and move forward. Don't drown in the depression. Don't, get so sad about it. And one thing too, you may not realize that your journey that you're going through, and you're going to come out on the other side, that may be for you to help somebody else through that same journey.
Exactly. Yeah, just like you're doing, Dollora, you're helping so many
you're helping so many people. So God is using you.
Yes.
You're a vessel to share your story to help somebody else.
Yes. So I'm so thankful and appreciative of your being here today. But one thing I want to say, sometimes people can reach the point where they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they're withdrawing from other people. Sometimes they'll self-medicate with other substances, and sometimes actually have thoughts of wanting to harm themselves and die. And if someone has reached that point, I would recommend that they reach out for professional help. And there's even like a crisis hotline that you can call 988. That's the new crisis hotline number, 988. I've had patients who tell me that, frankly, when they've called, like I had one young lady who last week said she called, and there was a guy and he wasn't really, she didn't feel like understanding her. And she called back and got another person and found the second person very helpful. She was just telling me that this past week. Yeah, so.
Wow.
Yeah, 988. That's a suicide crisis hotline. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been so informative. We're so appreciative. I don't know. Are there any questions, Penny, from anybody else? Any more questions that people have? Oh, okay. Someone wants to know, during this journey, have you picked up any new hobbies or taken on any new experiences?
No, but I have really bumped up my efforts with my choir. I'm going to sing a lot more and branch out to different people. And since we have a little extra time, I went to the store.
Mhm.
When was it? Day before yesterday. Not the store. There's a restaurant that's got the greatest roasted chicken. And I thought, well, I don't feel like starting to cook back to cooking yet. I did take advantage of my journey by not cooking. My husband took care of all of that. But he said, okay, well, maybe Sunday you'll start cooking again. I said, oh, maybe. Well, I didn't. And then Monday is when I decided I'll go out and pick up dinner from this restaurant. And I went in and got my order, and I came out carrying my bag, and this car was honking at me. And I was like, I turned around and gave them the stink eye and kept walking. Then they honked again. And a woman jumped out of the car. And she said, aren't you one of the ladies that came and sang to my father? And I'm like, oh my God, Larry, yes. And we hugged, and they were taking their mother out for her birthday dinner. And I sang happy birthday, but I was not dressed. I looked like absolute yuck. But she recognized me, and it was so good to see her. And they thanked me again for us coming. We sang to him a couple times, and their whole family was so loving and so wonderful and so appreciative. And yeah, it was really good. So I'm really getting more involved with Threshold singing.
This is new to me. This is the first I've heard of that since you talked about it. Have they been around for a while?
Internationally, yes. US, this is the United States 25th anniversary.
Oh, wow.
And it's Milwaukee chapters. It's been 2 years for us. There is a documentary that's being put together because
Awesome.
Joanne from TV6, Cassandra, you know her.
Oh,
She went to college with us.
She went to Northwestern also. Yes. Oh,
Yes.
wow.
So she was so excited, and she said it's going to take a few years to put it all together, but she feels that it's something so valuable. It's a well-kept secret, and she wants to get it out there.
It
So
is awesome. I just think that's amazing singing because music does so much like for your soul, your brain, your existence, music. I mean, it's a form of therapy.
yeah, it is.
Form of therapy.
It is. So no new hobbies.
Mhm.
No, I had thought about resuming my motorcycle riding, but I thought, no, no, that's not going to happen. That's on my naughty list. I'm too old now, and people are driving so crazy. And yeah. I worry more about things more like high-speed chases, police chases. That's killing a lot of people in Wisconsin. I don't know how it is in Georgia, but I wish they would use drones or something. But that's taken a lot of lives. And yeah.
I want to read some of the comments we're getting. People said they love your positivity. They're thankful for you sharing your journey. Great testimony. That's the kind of feedback that people are getting. So you have been a blessing, truly a blessing.
Yes, you have.
Oh,
True blessing.
thank you.
Right. So this will be available on YouTube for people to look later. Like if they weren't able to, tune in this evening, it's going to be available like on YouTube, and I'll make sure that you have, that YouTube copy. Like I said, I definitely, when I come back to Milwaukee, not in the wintertime, we'll get together.
Howard.
Awesome, awesome. I know, Shavett, do you have any other thoughts or anything else?
Just for everyone to do like she suggested, early detection is key. And so, go and get that annual mammogram, or even your annual visit with your primary care physician once a year. You know, and
Yes.
if it's easier to remember, do it around your birthday because you want to live another birthday. If it's easier for you to remember, to do it around that time. And if you have a family history of breast cancer or cancer particularly, oftentimes the doctors will have you do an exam every 6 months. So
Oh,
make sure that you share that, you know, with your physician if you have a family history of different forms of cancer. Just make sure you let them know. And two, we're on breast cancer, but also to make sure, another thing that people really overlook is getting the colonoscopy. I think that's right. Yeah.
yes.
The
Yeah.
colonoscopy. Because, you know, over years, you know, we can't tell what's brewing inside our bodies.
Right.
And after, I think it's age 40, I believe, you need to have a colonoscopy. They literally go in and look at your colon. And if you have polyps there, they will remove them. Because if you don't remove the polyps, that's when it turns into colon cancer. So
Yes.
early detection is key again, but usually it starts around age 40 unless you have a family history of colon cancer. That's something that's often overlooked because, you know, we can't tell what's going on internally in our bodies, but definitely have that done. Just get your annual checkups once a year.
Yes.
You said Dollora, they were doing it how often because you had the cyst? How often were they doing your mammograms?
I was getting them every year.
And
about every
is that the recommendation every year? Or is it
it's every 2 years.
okay?
But you know, I had to, you know, when you sign the documents, you have to tell, you know, answer questions. Does this run in your family? And I used my adoptive family because I didn't know my birth family. And my adoptive mother died of colon cancer, but she had breast cancer prior to that. And so I was able to get mine covered every year. And then I found out that my birth mother died from breast cancer. So I'm glad they did that. And as to colonoscopies, a lot of people are terrified of those. That's the best sleep I've ever had at following a colonoscopy.
Yep.
Oh my, drinking the prep is the only bad
That's
part.
the hardest part, is drinking the prep, but they put you to sleep, they do the colonoscopy, you wake up and you can't even tell that you left the room. And it's pretty quick. I think it's like 30 minutes. It's such a 30, 45 minutes. It's a very quick procedure.
It's quick. My pants were a little bit looser right after. I was like, oh, I'd like to do this maybe once a month because, yeah, they really clean you out. But it's nothing to be afraid of.
Nothing
Again,
at all.
they're afraid.
Yeah, and I am 54, and I had like 4 or 5 polyps.
Okay.
When I had a colonoscopy last year. My husband's 55, and he had probably the same amount. My mother's 74. She had one last year when she was 73, and they said she had one that was extra large, abnormally large at 74. So they wanted a repeat in like 3 years, but they did remove it because they have to remove the polyps. So
Yes, and you
definitely
don't know.
those.
You don't know it. You don't feel it
You don't know they're there.
unless they tell you. Oh,
Yeah,
we had to remove some polyps. Oh, really?
Yeah, but that definitely prevents the colon cancer. They just remove those polyps.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely get that done.
Yes.
So I know this has been helpful to our audience, but this has been helpful to me too. You sharing. I mean, I'm so appreciative. Thank you so much, Dollora. Thank you.
Well, I've learned a lot today too.
Okay.
Can't wait to look up newextra.com.
So Extracts, TRAX.
Oh yeah, I've got that.
Yep. It's awesome. It's awesome. They even have patches for electronic, like your cell phones, microwave frequencies. I know we mentioned that earlier. So they have patches for that. They have a lot of different products. So you can, and they're all natural.
Okay. I will definitely check into that.
Someone asked me to repeat the statistics, so I'll repeat those again. They wanted to repeat them. The breast cancer is the most common cancer in women worldwide, the most common. This is according to the American Cancer Society. 1 in 8 women in the US will be diagnosed with invasive breast cancer in their lifetime. 297,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer are expected in women in the United States. 43,000 women in the United States are expected to die from breast cancer. Globally, the estimated incidence of breast cancer is 2.3 million cases per year,
Mm.
670,000 deaths per year. The incidence by race and ethnicity, white women have a higher incidence of breast cancer than black women. However, black women have a higher mortality rate from breast cancer. Again, black women have a higher mortality rate from breast cancer. Hispanic women have an intermediate incidence and mortality rate. And by region, breast cancer does vary significantly by region. The highest rates are in North America, Europe, and Australia. The lowest rates are in Africa and South America. They didn't say why, but that's what this is, the lowest rate. And the trends, the incidence of breast cancer has been increasing in many parts of the world. And this is due to improved screening and early detection. And the good news is that mortality rate has been declining in recent years thanks to advances in treatment. And then most people don't think about men, but men can get breast cancer too. It's it says it's rare in males, but it can develop. And breast cancer in men accounts for 1% of all breast cancer cases, with around 20,000 diagnoses worldwide per year. And men are most likely to be diagnosed in their 60s. I know there was a celebrity, but I can't remember who it was, that went public with his breast cancer. I just don't recall who it was, but there was some.
Oh, yeah, there was one.
Yeah.
I knew a guy that had it.
Oh,
And
someone said Montel Williams. Is that Montel?
yes, that's who it was, I think.
I just said
Oh
Montel.
yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Okay, Montel. I didn't. Okay, okay. Oh,
And
someone. Mhm.
oh, I'm sorry, go on.
Oh, you go ahead. Yeah.
No, I remember taking care of someone who had a cyst or a mass somewhere on her body. And the doctor, palpated it and said, it's fine, it's, normal.
Mhm.
I see these all the time. And she said, well, if it's not supposed to be there, I want it out. And he was like, but there's no need. We don't, it's fine. It's just a mass, a cyst that's benign and you don't need it. And she said, no, she was adamant. So
Hmm.
he did the surgery and removed the cyst or this abscess. And do you know it was cancer?
What?
Oh,
And it was the worst form of cancer. She would have probably died had he not removed it.
Wait, they didn't do a
And
biopsy or anything?
yeah, so my point to you guys listening is you do have to remember that you can advocate for yourself. If
exactly.
the only way that you can really have um definitive diagnosis, I should say, is to do what your doctor did, is to, take a sample. Let's take a look under the microscope. Let's
Yeah.
see what I see, what it looks like. And that's the way you know. And they never did that. They just touched it and said, oh, I see this all the time. And she was like, no, it's not, I don't want it there. Take it out. And he really didn't want to take it out, but he ended up doing it, and lo and behold, it was cancer in the worst form. So fortunately, it was caught early on because, she had it removed. But you have to be able to,
Mhm.
don't be afraid to, you're not really challenging your doctor. You're
Mhm.
just concerned about your health. And if it's a situation where you're at a doctor's appointment or you get a diagnosis and you don't feel like you're not getting your results or the answers you want, you can always go get a second opinion from someone else because it's your health at the end of the day.
Right.
That's what I always tell people. It is your health. So I was so thankful that she went, a little step above and said, no, I really want it out. I know you're saying it's nothing, but I
Mhm.
really want it out. And thank goodness.
And
Oh,
sometimes, as family members, we can advocate for our family. Because I remember my father, who was a minister, went to the doctor and he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And so I asked the doctor, I went with him to the appointment, and I said, what is your plan? Oh, we're just going to take a wait and see approach. I said, no, we're not going to take a wait and see approach. We're going to take an active approach. and they found out that it was beyond the stage that he thought, and that he had the radiation and everything. The doctor told me, "Yeah, we're just going to take a wait and see approach." I said, "No, we're not."
Mm-hmm.
If I had,
Yep.
yes,
You have that right. And even with
right.
my mom with her colonoscopy that she had last year,
Mhm.
the doctor says, well, I don't recommend colonoscopies for someone, her age at 74 with
What?
hold on, with having Alzheimer's and dementia. We find that it makes, after the procedure, it makes the Alzheimer's and dementia worse.
Hmm.
And so I said exactly what you said. I said, what? Okay, so what would you do if it was your mother?
Uh-huh.
That was the question I asked the doctor,
Mhm.
respectfully. And she didn't answer. And I said, so for me, if I had to choose between colonoscopy to detect colon cancer or remove any polyps so that she won't get colon cancer versus dementia, let me deal with the dementia. There's lots of stuff out there, lots of technology. And sure enough, after my mom comes out of it, the doctor says, couldn't even look me in the eye and says, well, it was an extraordinary large polyp, just one extra large. We removed it, but because of that, we're going to have her back in 2 to 3 years. And I
Mhm.
know, had I not done the colonoscopy,
Mhm.
had I not been adamant about it, like, no, either you're going to do it or somebody else is going to do it, she would, I know, ended up with colon cancer.
Right. So we can advocate for our family. That's
We
something.
Yes,
have we have to advocate for
yes,
ourselves, our
Yes.
families,
Yes.
and I hope those two doctors you spoke of are no longer practicing medicine.
they are. But my point is, just be in tune to your doctors.
Mhm.
If you're not getting the answers you want or the results you want, it's okay to go get a second opinion from someone else.
Or a third
If it's
opinion.
not sitting right with your spirit, it's okay. Just go get a second opinion. Because I could have
Right.
easily walked out of there and said, "Oh, okay," because the doctor said she don't recommend it. Mom, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, I want to say
No.
something as a physician, and there's a woman that wrote a book about it, about racism. The racism does exist in the medical industry, and so sometimes you'll find that doctors that are more responsible are doctors that are African American or female. So I would say that's something I would also recommend too, because sometimes
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
other
Mm-hmm.
doctors are not culturally sensitive and tend to ignore complaints. It's happened to various celebrities who had
Yep.
issues, and their complaints, like Serena Williams and others, where the doctors ignored their complaints. So
You
that's
see, I
something.
mean, look at Jamie Foxx.
Oh,
You remember that he was in the hospital
Mhm.
like twice, and the doctors just gave him some pills, sent him home, you know. And then later, we know what happened to him. Like, he had this, I think he had a stroke or something, a massive stroke.
It's like, don't worry about hurting the doctor's feeling. You feel you have to do what's best for you and your family. Don't worry about hurting their ego, because doctors have big egos anyway. So,
Yeah, and
right.
you can do it. I did it respectfully,
uh-huh.
tactfully.
Mhm.
I didn't degrade them because they're doctors, but I just did ask the questions. And I said, well, that concerns me that you don't want my mom to have this colonoscopy. You're saying just deal with the dementia and Alzheimer's the way it is,
Mhm.
because it might get worse afterwards. Well, I'd rather not deal with colon cancer.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So just be
Wow.
an advocate for yourself.
Someone had one last question for Delora. They want to know, how is your appetite and energy level? Someone wants to know.
Great.
Okay, all right.
Okay, one last piece of advice. Once you've had your mastectomy, don't go home and have a huge plate of shrimp fried rice sprinkled with a lot of cayenne pepper. That was not a good thing. But yes, I had an appetite. I had one and still do.
Hmm,
Yeah.
Awesome.
okay. So I want to thank Delora for just sharing with us, and you've been like a blessing for so many of us. And it'll be posted on YouTube, and I'm sure we'll have so many more people that'll be helped by you. And thank you, for Shavett, for your input. This has truly been a blessing. I want to thank everyone for listening in, and we'll tune in again to Mind Matters. The next edition will be the second Wednesday in October. Don't know what the topic will be, but everyone have a blessed evening, and thank you so much again for your sharing with us, Delora.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you for having me.
Okay.